10 removeInRange, we're going to write a method called removeInRange, and it's going to accept 4 parameters. So big boy here. We have an ArrayList type integer, calling it list. We have an element value, a starting index, and an ending index. So I'm denoting these with index S for start and index E for end. Our method's behavior is to remove all occurrences of the given element that appear in the list between our given starting value and our given ending value, and this is inclusive and exclusive respectively. And we have other values and occurrences of the given value that appear outside our range are not affected. We have an example of how this would work. So try this on your own, as always, and if you can't get to it or want to do it together, let's do it together. So what do we need to do? Well, we have an index that we need to run through, index S and index E. So we have this range. And since we need to look at a range of values in our array list, we are going to need a for loop. So we'll have for, and typically, I'll have my variable like int a right here, but we don't need that this time because we already have our starting index, which is index S, and we can manipulate this every single time we run through this. So index S has to be less than our index E. We know this because we start at index S and we go to index E. It's exclusive on the last one, so we're not going to look at index E. Now, every single time we go through this, we're going to want to look at the next value, right? So it only makes sense to increment index S every single time that we do this. Inside of here, all we really need is a check. So this would be in the form of an if statement. We can say if our list.get, and we get our current index S that we're looking at, if this list.get index S, if it's equal to the element, well, we want to remove it, right? So what we're going to do inside of here is we're going to do a list.remove where we pass in index S, but that's not all we want to do. So we pass in index S, we want to remove it, right? Well, now our index S, if we let's say we're looking at this, for example, right? And we remove this. Well, index S, since everything here is going to get pushed down, index S is now going to completely skip over 10 and go to this one. So what we need to do is decrement every single time we are actually in this if statement. We need to decrement this index S so that we can look at the back one. And lastly, since we are moving everything down, remember in array lists, if you remove something, you move everything down. If you add something, you move things up. Since we're removing this, we're also going to need to decrement our index E as well. Only if we get inside of this if statement. So if we get inside this if statement, we have to decrement these because we're removing something. Just remember that. We can press submit. As always, if you have any questions, you can leave them below in the comments and I'll get back to you. Hopefully this helps you understand it. It's passed 5 out of 5 tests, and that's how I would go about solving this problem, exercise 10.2 or 10.10.